And what about the burdock?
This is the root of a plant with very big leaves, very different than the garlic grass or the dandelion. And you probably want to look that up in a book or talk to somebody who might have it in their garden, whether they want it or not. Very hard to pull up because these are baby roots. I mean, it could go down for 2 or 3 feet.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's a major taproot, and getting one of those out is a challenge. I think is the best word. Maybe we could hold up this book over here, which probably is a good book for people to possibly look at. One of our pull it back a little. There you go. Peterson's Field Guide for Medicinal Plants, Eastern Coast.
Yeah. So while we're talking about field guides, I'd like to make a couple comments. So this is the, Alan's got the medicinal plants there by Stephen Foster and James Duke, which focuses mainly on medicinal plants. Now the one next to him here is on edible wild plants. It's also a Peterson's Field Guide. Now I really like both of these books. They have great pictures in them. And unless you have a book, an ID book that specifically speaks to, maybe you can look up burdock, specifically speaks to the edible or medicinal properties, there will be no mention of them. So for example, this book here, this is what's called Newcomb's Wildflower Guide. It's a great beginning ID book. I use this in my classes to teach people how to use a technical key. Wonderful for that, very user-friendly. And I actually recommend that people combine this with one of the Peterson's guides, because the thing about the Peterson's guides has fabulous photographs, but they have no technical key. So there's no way to really be sure when you're beginning, like, this is the plant, because you haven't keyed it out. Right. So it's a great combination. But Newcomb's absolutely says nothing about medicinal or edible value. So it's always good to have more than one. Yeah. So we're going to talk a little bit more about burdock. Like Alan said, these are small roots. Now, most of you, when I'm trying to describe the burdock plant, I always ask people if they have cats or dogs or more small children who play outside, or if you had cats or dogs when you were growing up and played outside, because these are those classic, if you can see, I'm not sure how well people can see on the screen, classic burrs. You know, they're probably about ½ inch round in size, that get stuck in dogs' fur, that kids get in their hair, or they're running through the woods or through fields and things like that. They're just the classic. Now this is not a native plant. This is actually an introduced species that has, as far as I know, naturalized itself all the way across the country.
And we also have a Chinese version. Plus the burdock spurs were the inspiration for Velcro. And if you take off a spur and you throw it at somebody's clothes, it will stick to them.
Sure.
And that was one of the inspirations for Velcro was coming from the plant world.
Right. So another thing about what's interesting about burdock is that burdock is it's in a class of plants that are called biennials. And what that means is that it has a 2-year lifespan. And so the first year of its life, it does not send out a flower or go to seed. It puts all its energy into growing its root system and to producing leaves. And these, my guess is, by the size of these roots and the tenderness of them, that they're probably first-year roots. Because the second year of its life, again, obviously it's a plant, it keeps growing its root, keeps growing its leaves, but it will send up that flower stalk, go to seed, set those burrs. Now those burrs are what are filled with the seeds, and disperse them. And that's how it reproduces. So it disperses, and then the plant will die back to the ground.
Right, and I'd like to also mention that mullein is another plant like that, as well as another Chinese plant that I learned about, dangguai.
That's right.
Yeah, Angelica sinensis is a 2-year plant, and if you don't take the top off, the root doesn't grow. So these 2-year plants are all very, very funny, and you got to know exactly what's happening with each one.
Right.
But they are great plants for medicine, 2-year-olds.
Yeah. Yeah, now the burdock is a great crosses that line of what we call, and I talk a lot about, is food as medicine. It's a delicious food. It's one of my favorite roots just to eat. I like to chop it up, maybe toss it with a little olive oil, some rosemary, some garlic, and actually roast it like a root vegetable in the oven. Very delicious. Also makes a really nice tea. Why would you want to eat it? It's an amazing, what I would call like a liver and kidney tonic.
Yeah.
It's very gentle, stimulates the liver, helps the kidneys with their job of helping to cleanse the body, move blood, move minerals, vitamins through that. It is rich in, because of those deep tap roots, go down deeper into the earth, and they pull up a lot of vitamins and minerals that aren't available to us these days, like on our topsoil, because we've lost a lot of that in our topsoil. Great for the skin. Burdock is a skin herb, and the thing to realize is that it's not necessarily like a super fast working plant. It's something that in herbal medicine we have what are called tonics, and tonics are plants that are very safe to use over a longer period of time, and they help build and strengthen your body's system. So burdock would be considered a liver tonic and a kidney tonic, and great for the skin. Again, if someone, for example, had eczema, suffered from eczema, this might be a herb that they would use over time to help them with that condition. Great.
Okay, well, let's see if we can zero in on a couple of more mushrooms that we have here. We switch back the camera, and we'll get to the corner there, and maybe you can talk about a couple more that you brought in here.
Sure. And let me bring this forward. You might have seen this. People simply forage in the supermarket. They've seen what they call exotic mushroom oysters. And so they can be grown, but this is a wild version that I found just in my neighborhood. So anywhere that a tree has died, this will recycle it. That's what mushrooms do. And around here, that would be on poplar for the most part. And this was a small fraction of what I found. There might have been 10 times this much. Like most mushrooms, I would just slice it up, saute it in butter or oil with salt. And some of these are known medicinals at the same time. And just by eating it that way, you're getting the medicine.
Now, is this a specific species? Because this one seems chunkier to me than other oyster mushrooms I've seen.
Yeah. It's funny, to be honest, I don't know the different species in the genus, which is Pleurotus. I just assume they're all Ostriatus, and there might be some, scientific distinctions between the different kinds, but that's where, as a forager, I don't really need to know. But if you want to know more, there is a mushroom club you can join, and there are people there who are more like naturalists who are interested in them for their beauty or just for the fun of being able to identify or maybe even discover a new species.
And that's an Asheville Mushroom Club?
Yes.
And how would somebody get in touch with those guys?
They have a website. If you search Asheville Mushroom Club, it's not .com. Just search that, and it will pull up a site. And they meet once a month in season, and you can go out and learn from people, which, like we said, is the best way.
It's great because they do, in season, they do walks, they do what are called forays, fairly often, at least once a month or so. And then other times during the year, say now this time of year, they'll do like educational programs. So, I've gone in and taught a class on medicinal mushrooms for them, or they have other speakers come in. So, yeah.
And Sandy's spoken there on medicine. That's what this is for. And you might be able to even hear and see that this is dry, not just because it's been a while, but when you find it in the woods, it'll be this way. So a field guide might just say this is inedible. But just like something like licorice, you can boil it and get the flavor and the medicine out. I wouldn't say there's much flavor in this, but there's a lot of medicine.
And that is?
This they call turkey tails because of it's what it looks like.
Right.
There's other things that look like it as well. In fact, it's in shape. It's not that different from the oyster, and in the substrate, meaning where it grows, they both grow on wood.
What's interesting about this, there's this mushroom is that it's not, you can find it in this area. It's not super, super popular. When we were in California years ago, it's very popular. It's everywhere. And there's an herbalist and a mushroom, he's not technically a mycologist, a mushroom guy out in California named Christopher Hobbs, and he's written a great book on medicinal mushrooms. Right. And he talks about it as, trailside chewing gum, because when you find them out there, you find them fresh. You find them fresh, and they do have a bit of juice in them. You can actually they're fuzzier, a little fuzzier, a little thicker. They've got some moisture in them. You can kind of just chew on them and then sort of spit out the more, cellulose sort of part of them. This is an important food, though. Like Alan said, it's not necessarily something you're going to eat and swallow, but in herbal medicine, we do what's called a decocting plants. So plants that are harder, that are either, say, a dried root or seeds, barks of plants can be used. We do what's called a decocting of them, and that is basically putting them in water, bringing them to a boil, and simmering them for 20 minutes or so. And what that does is it exposes the plant to more sustained heat in order to break down the cell walls of the plant so that the medicinal compounds come out of them. And so one of the ways that we like to use turkey tail is to use it in food. To decoct it into your food. If you're cooking a pot of brown rice that you're going to simmer for 45 minutes or something like that, you can throw some pieces of turkey tail in there, or a pot of beans, or a soup, a broth, or something like that. And that way you're getting those medicinal compounds into your food. What is turkey tail good for? Turkey tail is a great immune plant. So it's not only stimulates the immune system, but it's strengthening to the immune system. It's one of the main plants used in China for anti-cancer properties. It's actually the basis of some anti-cancer drugs that are used in China. So it's an important, just wild medicinal food. And just to touch on that again, that sort of the idea of food as medicine, that the more we can just sort of incorporate these foods, bits and pieces of it, into our sort of daily diets, weekly diets, we're getting those sort of, small doses of those medicinal compounds that are going to help strengthen our bodies and keep us strong.
Well, this has been fascinating. And we are coming to the end of our time here. Believe it or not, it just goes by so fast. I really want to thank Sandy and Alan for coming and bringing all of these wonderful things to show our guests. And let me go into the scroll play. And, I have to pull this down. Oh, well, we missed the ending somehow.
Bob, you want to mention, I have a website. It's my name. More information.
We can do that later. I'll talk to you about the websites and stuff like that. This is coming. Oh, there it is. It's scrolling on, and I need to